Happy Saturday, everyone. You're watching another episode of Blank Canvas. I'm the voice behind the camera, Erica, and we have painter, artist extraordinaire, Sharon Strine on today. Sharon, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad that you're on today.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So a lot of people are starting to come into the onto the show. So everyone, tell us where you're from, where you're watching from today, and if we have any artists out there who are watching today, let us know what medium you use. Do you sketch? Do you paint? Do you just draw? Tell us anything that you do. We want to hear about it. And if you're on Instagram, be sure to follow Sharon Strine on Instagram because all of her information is up. So if you want to see the rest of her work, you want to compliment her, you want to commission her, catch her there. She'll be happy, right? To answer any questions they have about your work?
Yeah, you bet.
We have Anna saying a nice and awesome.
Already. Thank you.
And Kelly saying hello from Savannah.
Hi, Kelly.
So just so everyone knows what you're working on today, can you explain what you've got going on here?
Yeah, I'm working in oils, and I start out with my favorite sketching color. So I sketch in oil paint as well. This is Van Dyke Brown, and it's the foundation for this piece that's going to be part of a body of work that I do. I have a collection of these vintage beach scenes. I do a lot of practice of figure drawing and painting. So when I do this body of work, the anatomy part is kind of automatic. I can have some fun with the setting and with the people. In this case, since we've got kind of limited time today, I'm using a photo as reference, which was given to me by a patron, an art patron that I met at one of the outdoor shows that I did.
Awesome. And so far it looks really good. And I know it's like you still have so much more to do. We have Vinny who says, I can't even draw stick figures. Is that how you started out, Sharon, where you're just drawing stick figures? When did you start painting? When did you realize you had this talent?
I've been drawing and painting all my life. I guess I credit my mom. She found a neighbor who taught art lessons in her basement. So I went to Mrs. Crawford's house and started working with oil painting way back then. But I've been painting and drawing all my life. I did go to school for fine arts and education, and then everywhere we've lived, I've kind of found an art league to participate in.
I love that. Tracy Gilbert says beautiful, and she's sending a heart.
Thanks for the love.
Yeah, if you guys like what you're seeing, what Sharon's working on, make sure you... Oh, never mind. I don't even have to ask. I already got a ton of hearts floating across the screen.
Lots of love.
So yeah, send lots of love, a thumbs up and hearts, and make sure that you're sending your questions and telling us where you're from. We have Jennifer says, hello, from Australia.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
We have Kathleen who's saying that your drawing so far is lovely.
Thank you.
And Janice who's saying, watching from Washington, Pennsylvania.
Washington, Pennsylvania.
On this show, I learn about so many different places that I've never even heard of. But I'm always glad that everyone, no matter where you're tuning in from, I'm so glad that you're watching.
It'll be fun to see who's the furthest away.
We have Mary who's saying hello from... Oh, no, she's saying Happy Easter. Have a blessed Easter. You as well, Mary. And anyone who doesn't celebrate, just have a blessed day. Have a happy day. We have Christy who says, beautiful work, you're very talented. And she's saying hello from Dayton, Ohio.
Thank you.
So for anyone who's just tuning in, this is artist Sharon Strine. And you can follow her on Instagram. You can see the rest of her work. And if you have any questions about any of the pieces that you see, whether it's to purchase or to DM, to send her a message, to commission her, you can always send her a message. She's happy to answer anything that you want to know, as long as it's about the paintings, of course. Oh, Bradley says, you're truly stunning. Okay, Bradley. Hey.
Thank you, Bradley.
Dennis says, love it.
Ah, good.
And Van C says, really beautiful. Love it as well.
Cool.
So do we have any artists that are watching today? If we do, let us know what medium you use. Do you sketch? Do you draw? Do you paint? What do you do? And do you use watercolor, acrylic, oils like Sharon? Tell us in the comments. We want to know. Sharon, while we're on the topic, obviously because you're our artist for today, do you have any artists that have inspired you throughout life?
Oh wow, that's
or in
a
your
great
work?
question. Many, there's so much to learn from seeing others work, whether it's the old classics or contemporary artists. My tastes are all over the place. I like a lot of the figurative artists that people know of. Lucian Freud, Egon Schiele is a big favorite. The funny thing is the work that I seem to be drawn to mostly is unlike my own.
Yeah.
I have an appreciation for a lot of different styles, and it's not necessarily the work that I do. But as I say, there's an awful lot to learn from seeing others work. As with anything that you're constantly learning, the more you see, the more you expose yourself to.
And when it comes to your paintings, because you're referencing a picture right now,
Yeah.
do you usually do that?
That's another really good question. I'm doing it today for a lot of reasons. Mostly because I thought it would be quick, to have something to refer to, and I could make good progress while we've got some limited time. And sometimes I will use photos as reference, but the trick is, if someone's giving you a photo, or if you have a photo, you already have that. That's not what someone's asking you to give them back if they commission a painting. So the challenge is to turn it into a unique piece of artwork, and there's lots of different ways to do that. Whether it's just in the style that it's done, or the palette. In this case, the fact that it's a vintage era. That it's a 1950s photo. I like the kind of the sepia tone. It seems to relate.
I like that.
And then other times I work from life.
Yeah.
I do a lot of practice at the Art Students League in New York. Live models and drawing and painting from models. Like this piece to my right was a model, and just kind of invented the background, invented the setting, and
I would have never thought
took
that.
some liberty. Yeah.
I honestly thought maybe you were right there and the ocean was splashing and she was walking through, so I love it.
Yeah, so that's the fun of it. So for this piece, I'm trying to be pretty true to it because it's a special photo that was given to me, and I thought it was just a really cool subject. Something in particular about these two people and the relationship that they're representing. I thought it was really special, so I reached out to the person who gave it to me and said, "Would you mind if I use this for reference?" Turns out, it's a photo of his parents taken in Atlantic City in the 50s. Their names are Bob and Bernita. And they're coming up on their 60th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But what I thought was so cool about them, and something that I realize is kind of a common thread in my work, is the woman really speaks to me. I like to portray women that are kind of self-assured and strong and, happy in their skin. And she looks, you look at that couple, she's every bit the equal in that relationship. So I thought that was a pretty neat subject to use.
Well, we have a lot of people saying awesome, and they love that you're doing this.
Cool. Thank you.
We have Robert who's saying he's watching from Brooklyn, so we have a New Yorker.
Ah, yeah.
Mary Lou says, I was a military wife for 20 years. My eyes have seen the most glorious sights, and I've always wished I could paint or sketch anything. So basically she's saying what she's seeing right now is a glorious sight.
That's nice. It just takes practice. Practice and seeing, just being kind of open to seeing things. The thing, in particular, the thing about doing people, we all know, or we think we know, what an eye looks like. It's an almond with a circle in the middle, and if you look instead of letting your brain take over and say, I know what an eye looks like, and see it in terms of shadow and light, then the drawing part is just a matter of seeing and recording what you're seeing. I know that sounds very simplistic, but that's kind of the I don't know, takes the mystery out of it for me. It's just you look, you squint, you see lights and darks, and you portray that, and once you've done that, then you step back and you go, whoa, it's a face.
We have Guido saying hello from Brazil, and he's asking, what kind of oil are you using? He also said your painting's wonderful, by the way.
Thank you. I actually have a grab bag of different pigments, and I'm not sure if you meant to ask that specific a question, but I will say something kind of interesting about it. I mentioned that my favorite color to begin with is it's called Van Dyke Brown. I have 2 tubes of Van Dyke Brown from 2 different paint manufacturers, and they're entirely different. I don't know if you can see that. Well, actually, I'll put it up here. That's Van Dyke Brown, and that's Van Dyke Brown.
Oh, they look totally different.
2 different manufacturers. They're actually that's mixed with white to bring them down to a value.
Yeah.
So the Van Dyke Brown from Winsor Newton is a very warm brown, and the Van Dyke Brown from Gamblin is a neutral kind of a cooler one. So long answer to the question, but so what I do is I kind of play. Find the pigments that work best for me, and then I end up having an assortment.
Well, I'm pretty sure that did answer his question. I'm glad you explained that, because sometimes, like you said, one Van Dyke Brown looks totally different from the other.
Yeah.
So at least now they know what you're using.
Right.
Kimberly says this is really beautiful.
Thank you.
And Trey says you have amazing work.
Thank you.
Dave says, what a great artist you are.
Wow.
I agree, Dave. And for anyone who's just tuning in,
this is started.
This is our artist today, Sharon Strine, and you can follow her on Instagram and check out the rest of her work. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. I see all the questions and the hearts and the likes that are coming through. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible today.
Very cool.
If we have any artists out there, let us know. Let us know what you use. We do have a question, but I missed the person's name, so I apologize. They wanted to know what's your most memorable piece that you've ever worked on?
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay, I'll go with my first thought on that one. I do outdoor art shows. Been doing them for a few years. My first outdoor art show that I did was in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and my first art patron, my first customer, bought 2 large paintings from me, and she was this elegant, interesting woman whose background is just fascinating. She was an original Copacabana girl in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And the pieces that she bought just really spoke to her. They kind of represented, her time and her, that time in her life when she was traveling with all these dancing female friends, and she just really connected with the work. It made me feel very fulfilled that there was such a connection there. So I think that that's the answer, when it speaks to someone in such a way that they want to have it in their home, and they want to look at it every day, and it's meaningful to them.
Yeah.
That's that's really meaningful as an artist.
That's an awesome answer.
Thank you.
So my next question is, and this is my own personal question,
Yeah.
but I'm sure a lot of people would want to know, what's the largest piece that you've worked on?
Well, I'm working on a monster of a piece now. And probably the largest completed piece is maybe around 4 feet by 3 feet, something like that. The one I'm working on is a little bigger than that. It can be, it's fun to work on a big piece, but it can be unwieldy. We live in New York. Tough to transport things that are that big, and takes up a lot of space. But it's fun because it forces you to kind of tell a story. You've got a lot of space, and it needs to have an interesting composition, and needs to show a great deal. They tend to be much more complex.
Well, we actually have a Sharon who's asking you a question.
Cool.
Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
She wants to know about the pieces that are to the left and the right of you.
Yeah.
How long did they take from start to finish to complete, if you remember?
Well, that's a good question, and I can answer it both specifically and generally. That piece probably took maybe a couple weeks start to finish. I tend to work with more than one canvas at a time. Because working with oils, they need some dry time. So I'll set up a few canvases, and I'll just kind of flip from one to the other. So probably all told a couple weeks. This one I mentioned the Art Students League, where I like to go to practice from live models. That was done there, and I'm there a couple of nights a week. So probably, exactly. That would have been done in 4 3-hour sessions.
That's how long it would take me to draw a stick figure. So, or color by numbers.
The more you do, the faster you get.
We have Carolyn saying, just beautiful. You make it look so easy. How can I master this perspective?
Practice, practice, practice.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. Practice, and as we were talking about earlier, just it is as much practice in seeing as it is in then trying to execute. So not just the comparison of what am I doing, does it look like, but also seeing others' artwork, and just being open to that how many different ways there are to translate things into art.
We have Deborah saying, way cool, saying hello from Brentwood, Long Island, New York. I blend better with watercolors or pencils. I'm nowhere near this talented, though.
The forgiving thing about working with oils is that you can paint over it. She mentioned watercolors.
Yeah.
And I love watercolors. I think it's a beautiful medium. But it's once and done.
Got it.
And with oils, you can. I do it a lot. I'll paint something, and then I don't like that. Paint over it. Take it out, put it in. Oils can be very forgiving. And I like the way they blend.
How long does it usually take for an oil painting to dry?
Depends on the thickness. I tend to work in kind of thin layers, and I build up. So mine tend to dry pretty quickly at each stage. But if I lay it on really thick, as I sometimes do, just to add some texture and interest, and to remind you that it's paint, it's not a photograph, then that'll take longer. So if I'm really under the gun and I've got a deadline and I get a fan blowing on it, it'll be dry to work on the next day.
We have JD saying, "You are so good. Love your work."
Wow, thank you.
Oh my gosh, we have so many comments coming through. Sorry guys if I'm not catching up. Just continue to send hearts and thumbs up and send your comments. I promise I will catch up. Lindsay says, "Your artwork is truly inspiring and amazing."
Thank you so much.
Laura says she likes to sketch and use charcoal from pictures and live sketches.
Yeah.
Mostly black and white, not good at colors. And she also says, "I do calligraphy as well."
Wow.
What else do you dabble in outside of the oil painting? Do you ever paint on anything outside of canvas?
I do. Paint on wood, paint on paper. I keep a sketchbook where I'll apply gesso to the paper. You know what gesso is? It's just kind of a base to prepare it so that the paint just doesn't get sucked in and absorbed. It sets it up. I've painted on metal before, painted on glass, sculpted some. That's a lot of fun. I think there are a million ways to be creative, and if you're doing watercolors and drawing, that's a great way to get started, and then be open to trying other things.
Ed says, "Thank you for sharing your talent."
Thank you.
So for anyone who's just joining us and just tuning in, this is Sharon Strine. She's our artist for today. You can follow her on Instagram. Her website is also up as well, so you can contact her there or on Instagram if you want to look at some of her other work, commission her for a piece. There's quite a few people who are asking in the comments, who are saying in the comments they want to send you photos and commission you for a piece. So
cool.
You can find her, like I said, on Instagram or on her website. It's definitely up. So make sure you guys contact her. People are talking about, "I want to send you my ballet pictures." I think it was Mary Lou who said she had some ballet pictures that she wanted you to basically recreate in a painting.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So yeah, we have quite a few people asking.
Yeah, dancing, that would be inspiring.
So for anyone who didn't catch it, are you self-taught, or is this just like a gift that you were just 2 years old and painting on your mother's walls?
Yes and yes. I have both pursued it as an education, and I continue to. But it's also a gift, I think, that my mom helped me cultivate when I was very young. So it was actually, for the longest while, it was kind of my private place. It was I would draw and paint, and it was my way of just kind of settling down and having quiet time. And I continued to do that. It's only recently become a profession for me. I had a whole career of management and marketing and communications in nonprofits and small business and higher ed. And when we moved to New York, I was inspired to return to the passion of painting, and I'm glad that I did. It's really very fulfilling.
Laura wants to know if you had any artists in your family.
I was asking my dad that recently, and he seems to think that I
You're the first?
Talent of a great grandmother who I never met. So, could be. I have 3 kids. They're all creative. I have a stepdaughter who's also creative. I think it's part nature, part nurture.
Oh, we have Magdalene. She joins us every weekend. She just joined.
Oh, there she is.
She said, hello, Sharon, and she's saying hello from Malaysia.
Hi, we were waiting for you.
Yes. She joins us every week. I love this.
That's great.
And Laura says, love how you are capturing this photo.
Oh, thank you.
Vinny says, she's fast. And Jolynn agreed and said, yeah, she is.
I do tend to work pretty quickly.
Nancy says, very nice.
Thank you.
And Kimberly says, you make it look so easy. She definitely does make it look easy, but I just know I would completely ruin this. So that's why I leave it up to people like Sharon who have such awesome talent.
Well, thank you. That is the cool thing about working in oils. You can't ever ruin, because you can always paint over. You can always change. You can correct. You can. I've had complete canvases that I've decided, well, okay, that was an interesting exercise, and I'll just completely cover it and start something new.
Oh, have you ever used charcoal?
Oh yeah, I love charcoal.
Okay, because we have Melissa here saying, I use pencil to draw. Can't really use my imagination, but if I see something, I can draw it. Love my charcoal. Also thinking of experimenting with grinding charcoal into a powder and trying to use a brush. Might sound stupid, but maybe it'll help me learn to use a brush and the different types. I don't think that sounds stupid. I mean, I try it.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know what you might come up with.
Right.
But have you ever? I know you said you use charcoal. We had an artist before. He said he used pressed charcoal. Have you ever used that?
They're well, kind of like with pencils. You know, they're hardened, soft pencils.
Got it.
There are lots of different weights and choices in charcoal as well. Charcoal's fun because it blends so nicely,
but it's super messy, right?
It's messy.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid of that. And you can create great highlights in charcoal once you've built it up, just by taking an eraser and taking it away, and it really pops. So those working in charcoal, try that. That's fun.
Kimberly wants to know: are you going to add color? Are you going to stay pretty true to the?
Sometimes I
original?
do. I doubt if I'll have time for that today. Maybe. But what I do is I'll kind of lay it all out. Be happy with the composition. Be happy with the people, and then decide how to make it unique. How to make it mine. Or in the case of working for a customer, if I'm creating something that is going to belong to someone else, I'll share it with them and say, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking I might do with it. Maybe I'll add a little color. Maybe I'll add a spot color. Maybe I'll make them, like they've been, they've been kissed by the sun, and everything else is kind of monochrome. There are lots of different things you can do.
We have Laura who's saying your confidence is captivating.
Thank you.
She gets it all the time, Laura. No, I agree. Elizabeth says lovely. And we have Kimberly. Oh, no, sorry. There's 2 Kimberlys coming with questions. She says, it's glorious.
Glorious. What a great word.
I like that. I've never actually, I don't think anyone's ever come on and said that about anything. I like that.
Thank
See what
you.
you're doing to everyone, Sharon?
Yeah, whole new vocabulary.
Clive says, I love watching a picture come to life on the canvas. And it's calling you a superb artist.
Thank you.
And watching from South Wales, UK.
Oh my goodness. What time is it in South Wales?
Yeah, Clive, what time is it out
right?
there that you're watching Blank Canvas right now? Which, if it's past your bedtime, that's totally fine. You can go to sleep right after we're done. No matter where anyone's tuning in from today, I'm so happy that you are tuning in and you're watching Blank Canvas and you're watching Sharon Strine here. And she's our artist for today. She's using oil paints. And can you talk to everyone who hasn't who's just tuning in and they probably didn't hear you explaining how you got to this point of this painting?
Sure. I began with a photo as reference, and I kind of sketched in very lightly the skeleton of it. I work in light layers of oil paint, so I begin with almost a dry brush in Van Dyke Brown, and I'll work on that until I'm happy with the composition, with the anatomy, with the proportions, and then once I've got that, then I start working in values of within this sepia palette. At times I'll stray from that and add spot color. Sometimes I'll finish it completely in monochrome and just varnish it, and that's that. It depends on the piece and what I see and what I feel as I'm working. This one, for example, I added some spot color in the background just to freshen it up. I like to work from this era. I like the vintage look. I'll keep an eye out for vintage bathing suits, in fact, and if I see one that I think is really cool, then I'll invent a setting for it. And I keep an eye out for photos, and I don't think I mentioned this. I got started on this whole body of work when I got all my mom's family photos when she passed away, and I just thought there was just something about that time, 40s, 50s, and that era that just looked so kind of simple and happy and appealing. And I started painting and just created a big body of work that seems to really resonate with people.
Well, you'll probably really like this this comment. It's Janet who says, Janet from the Upper East Side, wonderful to observe this. I'm also an artist, and yes, my mother, Bernita, your painting, is most certainly an equal partner in the marriage. Thank you.
How cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sharon,
a beautiful name, Bernita. I love that.
Yes, Bernita. That is a nice name. Sharon says, you are very gifted.
Thank you.
Joan is watching from Florida.
All right.
Oh, it's probably really beautiful there right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not too bad out here today, but Florida,
Yeah,
the beach.
we're getting there.
Yeah. George says, great work. Shouldn't you be painting Easter eggs?
Wait, what was that again? Painting what?
He's making a joke, just saying. George said, great work. Shouldn't you be painting Easter eggs?
Oh. That hadn't occurred to me.
Kimberly says, I see no flaws. This is wonderful.
Wow.
And Joy says, literally putting up the emojis where it's like the stunned face, saying, amazing, can't stop watching, such a talent, love it.
Oh, that's so
She
cool.
sent you a rose, a butterfly, 2 hearts, some more flowers. and 2
man.
hearts.
Thanks for the love.
Yeah, so anyone who loves what Sharon's working on today, make sure that I see more hearts floating across the screen and thumbs up, and send more questions. I love everything that we're getting here so far. And for whoever's just tuning in, this is Sharon Strine. She's our painter for today on Blank Canvas. She's using oils, and her work's really amazing. So I'm really glad that you're here.
Thank you. Me too. This is fun.
George says, I use charcoal and watercolors.
Great mediums to work in. Nice thing about charcoal too is it's very portable. You can take that anywhere. And I always want to paint when we travel, and you can't quite set up everywhere and paint. So a nice solution is to draw. Have a sketchbook, draw, or what I also do is just take pictures like crazy. And
George
then-
wants to know, do you sketch before painting?
I don't. I begin directly on the canvas. I actually sketch in paint. Maybe you heard me say I'll start with almost a dry brush, real light, and that's kind of the preliminary sketch. The bigger I work, like the really big canvases, they do tend to need some kind of a plan before you get started. So I'll amend my answer to that. There we go.
McDreamy says, this is beautiful. George says, I found you on Instagram and now I follow you. Yay!
Wow, cool.
Good going, George. And for anyone else who's on Instagram and you want to follow Sharon, you'll see that her Instagram name will pop up. She also has a website that's in our information as well. So you can either go to her website, or if you're on Instagram already, follow her on Instagram. Check out her work. And if there's a piece of hers that you have questions about, you want to purchase, or if you want to commission her for work, just contact her.
Absolutely, thank you.
Jenny says, oh my God, that looks so good. And I'm just assuming that's the voice she said it in when she wrote it.
Sounds just like her.
Hopefully I got that right, Jenny. Kimberly says, I have to go, but your art is so amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly, for tuning in today. So we have someone asking, I hope I'm saying this name correctly. Charlina, excuse me, or Charlina, I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly, wants to know, is there anyone that you really look up to right now? Not like growing up, but someone that is like probably your, like the artist that's on your radar at this point.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to my instructor. I'm actually kind of studying painting under Marshall Jones at the Art Students League of New York, and he's just the best teacher and a very talented guy, and he's really helped kind of help me push my work in some new directions. I'm working on a different body of work, so he's become a bit of a mentor, I would say.
Do you teach any classes, or would you?
You know, I often think of that. As I mentioned, my background is in both fine arts and education, so I would love to teach, and I think it would be fun to start, kind of small, like take on some students and just have a kind of a small studio arrangement. So if that's of interest, send me a message. That would be fun.
Is there ever a piece that you've started that you just couldn't finish?
Oh yeah.
Is it just you disliked it, or you're just like, this is so overwhelming, or both?
No, it is more often like, nah, that was interesting, but now I have a different idea. And that's why I say that it just that's what's cool about working in oils, but it's also, I think, important to just keep in mind that nothing's so precious. You can't make a mark and then be afraid not to touch it. Be afraid of ruining it. And you really just stay with it and take it as far as you can. And if something else inspires me and I lose interest, I may set it aside and go back to it. But there have been occasions when I've done something and I just go, okay, that got that out of my system, and I don't need to pursue it any further.
So do you feel that with painting, we have a lot of artists who come on, and even in the comments, and they say that painting is very soothing and relaxing, but then we have someone who's like, that's true, but it does get exhausting. How do you feel about it?
You kind of have to train up. If it's a profession, I should say, if it's something that you intend to do all the time, then it can be exhausting. But I wouldn't say it's ever stressful, and that could just be, the nature of my work. I tend to choose to do things that are calming and positive. So I would think that, depending on subject matter, depending on what you do, that would certainly affect how you're feeling.
We have Kim who said that the painting to the left resembles you.
Resembles me? Huh. Ah, thank you. I'll take that.
Well, it's beautiful, whoever it is. So that's a compliment.
Sure is.
Just looking at photos of yourself, I'm like, I'm just going to paint what I look like. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was not done from the mirror.
John wants to know, do you ever paint pets? Animals?
Yeah, as a matter of fact. There's my dog Riley. Yeah, and I did a series of them, and they're fun to do. That's a whole nother
Do you feel like it's easier to paint
possibility.
people than animals?
I wouldn't say it's easier. I mean, there's a lot to know about anatomy. No matter what you're choosing to do. And, if you mean for it to be somewhat representative, somewhat realistic. If not, you can do kind of caricature-ish things, and then you're free to invent. But if you're doing animals, you better know what their frame is, what their bodies are like, and they're fun to do because they're equally expressive, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Someone wants to know, how long will it take you to finish this piece?
That's a good question. Well, what I'm not doing that I usually do is step back and look a lot. So by this time, I'm probably spending an equal amount of time stepping back and looking as I am painting. So the answer to the question then is, what I'll do is I'll look at it for a while first, and I'll decide if there's any kind of course correction, and then what would be fun to do next, whether it's going to be completely true to a photo, or if I decide to do something different with these folks or with the setting.
So everyone who's just tuning in, this is our artist on Blank Canvas today, Sharon Strine. You can follow her on Instagram. You can take a look at the rest of her work. Make sure that you like it, love it, send her a message if you have any questions about it, or if you want to commission her for a piece. Her website is also up as well. We're out of time, unfortunately. I wish that we had so much more time left. But Sharon, thank you so much for being on today.
Absolutely.
Your work is truly amazing. It's beautiful. I feel like I'm not even giving you the right compliment at this point.
Thank you.
Anyone who watched today, thank you so much. We always appreciate you guys tuning in, your questions, your comments. We're not on tomorrow like we usually are on Sundays, but we'll be back next weekend. And Saturdays is 3 p.m. Eastern time, and Sundays is 12 p.m. Eastern. So make sure that you tune in next week, and I hope everyone, whether you're celebrating Easter or just hanging out tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your weekend. So yeah, thank you again, Sharon. You're awesome.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Bye, guys.